Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and this is my husband, Chris. Actually, you can see yesterday was our 9-year wedding anniversary. Chris got me flowers for our anniversary. And we have lost and gained hundreds. How many times have we lost and gained weight together in the last 9 years? Like at least 3 or 4.
Quite a few times, but not so much lately.
Yeah, we've been consistent for the last couple of years because we have found out what works for us, and that's being on a meat-based carnivore diet. But we've gotten off the roller coaster, we've healed our health issues, and we've been able to just really live like a healthy, sustainable life by figuring out what's worked for us. Today, we want to talk about kind of all the things that we wish we knew before we started carnivore, learn from some mistakes that we made early on, or just things that maybe would have helped us avoid some setbacks over the last 4.5 years that we've been doing carnivore. You ready for this?
Yep.
Lesson number 1 that I wish I knew when we started a carnivore diet is to treat cheese or dairy as a condiment. I can eat a lot of cheese. I would eat cheese as a snack. I would just have cheese all the time. I've tried to cut cheese out completely, and for me, it's just not necessary to cut out cheese totally, as long as I'm treating it like a condiment on top of a burger, one piece with a meal, or like as my dessert, but just don't have cheese as a full meal itself or as a snack.
Cheese has a lot of fat. It's very tasty and addicting, so it's very easy to overeat. So the best way to handle that is to avoid it if you can, but if you can't, like she said,
or you don't want to,
treat it as a condiment. You know, it's on the burger, it's on the side, and that's it. Leave it at that.
Yep. And that leads us into the second one. I love the phrase from Dr. Sivas, and it has been life-changing for me, and that's to think of a snack is always an emotional event. If you are eating proper meals, whether that's 1, 2, or 3 meals a day, you don't need a snack. We get that question all the time is, what do you snack on when you're on carnivore? What do you snack on?
Nothing.
Nothing. Don't snack. Just avoid it. If you're hungry, eat a meal. You don't need something at 2 in the afternoon to bridge you over to dinner time. Ideally, you're eating enough at your meals. Maybe your very first couple of days, if you're just like craving chips, like have a snack, but realize, take a step back. Why are you eating this way? Why do you want a snack? What emotions are you dealing with that are making you want to munch right now?
Most of the time, it's just boredom.
100%.
Or you just love eating. We all love to eat.
Also true.
That's where we got to put a little control in place.
Yeah. The third thing I wish I knew before I started a carnivore diet is that you need proper electrolytes. Your body is going through a lot as it's getting rid of all the carbs and sugar, and it's flushing out all those natural electrolytes. And so you need magnesium, sodium, and potassium in order to supplement that. And it really helps with bridging through the keto flu. It helps with muscle cramps, and just overall making sure that you have enough energy when you're eating this way is to make sure that your electrolytes are balanced. If you're looking for a good electrolyte supplement, this video is sponsored by Element. These are convenient little packets that you can take with you everywhere, and they are perfectly formulated for people who are eating a low-carb, keto, or carnivore diet, and it gives you all the electrolytes that you need. It's sodium, potassium, magnesium in this perfect formulation. You can just pour it in your water. I like the unflavored version because there's no sweeteners, no junk, no fillers. It's literally just magnesium, sodium, and potassium.
I love the chocolate salt. I put it in with some cold coffee in the mornings once a day. It's absolutely wonderful.
The kids like this one too, mixed with a little bit of milk or coffee. Okay. My kids are not drinking coffee. My kids like this one too, and I'll mix it up with a little bit of milk or just some water. If you want to try all 8 flavors, Element is giving my subscribers a free sample pack with any purchase. If you use the link down below, you can go to drinkelement.com/LaurAESPATH, DRINKLMNT.com/LaurAESPATH to get this offer.
So that brings us to number 4. Eat the meat you can afford. You see lots of things in the carnivore world about grass-finished, unicorn meat, all this crazy stuff. We've ate 100% of our meat from the grocery store the entire time, grain-finished, and we've got all the results in the world to show, and we'll put them up against anyone on their unicorn diet.
Yeah, we get all of our meat from Costco, Walmart, the regular grocery store, and then sometimes as a special treat, we'll order something online. But again, even the ones we order online are going to be grain finished. There is minimal nutritional difference, not anything that's going to make a difference to you in your health. It's about what we can afford. We eat conventional raised pork, chicken, all those delicious things. Like, stop obsessing about that and just eat the meat that you like. More than anything, eat the meat that you like, and that just happens to be what is affordable for us as well.
And it's important too to eat what you can afford, and don't give up on the diet or the way of eating because you think you have to have grass-finished ribeyes all the time. You don't have to have that. You can get everything you need from eggs and cheap steaks that are on sale.
Yeah, this really can be as affordable and as inexpensive as you want it to be. You could live on eggs and Walmart ground beef, or you can be eating fancy steaks every day. It really is up to you, but it is possible. No matter what your budget is, you can make a carnivore diet work for you.
And your health will save you a lot more money in the long run than the cheaper spaghetti and garlic bread.
And that's it. And that leads into the next point, which is our fifth point. And that is, you have to make it sustainable for you. We have both tried several different trends over the years and tried to go with what everybody else is doing. But if you're trying to fit what your carnivore diet looks like into how somebody else is telling you to do it, it's not going to be sustainable for you. Even in the beginning, we were doing this so intently, so strictly, and so specifically that we weren't even able to maintain it. And in 2020, when the world got crazy and stress happened and life happened, we even found ourselves getting off track because it wasn't sustainable for us in something that we could stick to every day, no matter what. It shouldn't be this battle every time you go on vacation, every time a holiday comes around, where you're just fighting against what you're doing because of all these temptations. You have to find a way to do this that's going to be sustainable for you long term.
The other part of that, making it sustainable, is having fun with it, enjoying it. Invest a little bit into your cooking tools and maybe a new grill or something like that. Learn how to cook. Get online, watch YouTube. There's thousands of videos. That's how I learned, and then I taught her everything I know.
I just learned from him, but he watched YouTube videos.
A lot of things you'll see in this space is, this cut of meat doesn't taste good. I can't make this work or whatever. A lot of it's how to pick the right steak or right meat and how to prepare that meat, and you can learn that, and it's fun to learn it. And then when you see the results of it, it keeps you more engaged and having more fun with it, and you try to one-up yourself every time.
Yeah, another way we make it sustainable is now we have so much variety. I spent a year living on beef and living on ribeyes. That wasn't sustainable for my budget, and then eventually I love a ribeye, but I also just got bored with trying to eat the same thing all the time. If I was personally living on ground beef and salt, I would get so bored with it, I couldn't keep it up and I would instantly fall off the wagon. And so using a variety of spices, seasonings, cooking methods, a lot of different kinds of meat. I mean, I had chicken and beef 3 days in a row lately, and I used different seasoning blends and different cuts of beef every day, and it was like having 3 entirely different meals. And so for me, that was a really awesome way of adding variety to what I'm doing. For our sixth thing we wish we knew before we started a carnivore diet, I wanted to address the question that we probably get the most often, which is, how much am I supposed to eat?
That's a complicated question, and the first thing I'd say about that is, don't follow what everyone else is doing. Just because one person is eating 2 pounds of meat or 1 pound of meat
or certain ratios
of fat to protein, that's going to be different for a lot of different situations. So how we're going to determine that is going to depend on how much you were eating before you started, what kind of food were you eating, were you a chronic dieter or not, how much fat is in that meat, how little fat is in that meat.
What's your activity level? What's your age? What's your health? We were coming from eating pizzas and pints of ice cream, and so we were able to eat a lot of, and we were also both over 100 pounds overweight. And so we were able to eat a lot of food when we started and still lose weight right away. Your health context might be different. I used to share my very specific portions early on, and I stopped doing that because you can't just copy exactly what I'm eating now and expect to have the same results. It really has to be specific for you. And so maybe it's worth doing an entirely separate video where we break down how to figure out how much you're supposed to eat, because there's so many factors, but the answer is not doing what somebody else is doing.
So the only tip that I would give is, when you first start, is eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and go back to rule number 2 about snacking, because that's an emotional event, and eliminate the snacking. So make sure you're eating enough at the meal to where you're full, and you satisfied long enough to last to the next mealtime.
And then over time, you can make small adjustments based on the results that you're having. You can try doing some fasting, and you can pull other levers of fat to protein ratio, but they all should be slight adjustments once you are consistent as you see how you're feeling.
Number 7 on our list is fruit and honey part of the carnivore diet? And the answer to that question is no, not at all. Sure, some people, athletes, young people, healthy people can get away with that, and that's great. Those are natural things that maybe ancestrally we would have eaten. But most of us here are either here to lose weight or to heal major health issues.
Reverse insulin resistance, reverse diabetes. Fruit and honey should not be a part of your diet if you have high blood sugar, if you have excess weight to lose, if you are not extremely active.
Yeah, all those things would just spiral me out of control and make my blood sugar go up and be counter to the effects I'm trying to get with this diet.
Right. People can eat fruit and honey all they want. It's not part of a carnivore diet. And also, it really depends. If you're not already metabolically healthy, you shouldn't be incorporating those things in from the beginning. Number 8, know why you're doing this in the first place. Write it down. Literally, write down your goals. Write down your timeline. I am a huge proponent of finding out your daily wins and knowing what your long-term goals are. And if it's like, I want to lose 10 pounds as fast as possible, you're probably going to have to dig deeper to find something that's motivating enough for you in order to keep you on track when temptation arises. Because the only thing I can promise you is that temptation will arise. And if it's just like, I want to be skinnier, like that was not motivation enough for me to do this long term. But to feel better, to have better health, to be here for my kids, like I had to find other reasons. And those weren't there to begin with. I promise you, I started this because I wanted to lose weight and I was unhealthy. But I had to continue, like, why am I sticking to this? What are my reasons on why I feel better? Like, it has to be something that you're taking very seriously and that you truly understand why. And that's the only thing that's going to help keep you on track when temptation arises.
Also, from a physical perspective, knowing why you're doing this. Am I trying to lose body fat? Am I trying to reverse insulin resistance? Do I have autoimmune conditions? Do I have gout, or do I have a number of different health concerns? Each one of those things is going to cause you to tailor your approach differently. So referring back to how much do I eat, it could change that. Can I have seasonings or spices? Can I not? Those different things are all going to be affected by what your reason why you're doing this diet is. Why have you came to this, what would be considered a drastic diet, even though it's probably more normal than the standard American diet. You're here because you're trying to reverse something or cure something. So knowing what that is, then all your research can be tailored on how can I use this diet to effectively treat those symptoms.
That was a better answer than mine. That was a good answer.
Okay, number 9 on the list is being open-minded. When you come to this diet to treat all those issues, you have to be willing to throw out a lot of things that you've been told in the past. Plants potentially could be bad for you. Red meat is the best food for you. These things are anathema to what you've been taught your entire life. So you have to do that across the board when it comes to cholesterol, when it comes to all these different things that your doctor might tell you. This is no medical advice or anything like that, of course. But, you have to go into those things with an open mind and do your own research. Look at what some publications say, look at what other publications say, look at what some researchers say, what other researchers say, and know all the different angles of it and be open to something being counter to what you've always thought was the truth.
And go looking for those answers. Look behind things, like look at the nutritional guidelines and where those are coming from. And if you're nervous about cholesterol, like start doing some research on cholesterol. What does cholesterol mean? What does a high LDL mean? I get messages every day, people scared about their cholesterol going up. Like, what happens if my cholesterol goes up? I don't think that's a bad thing depending on what happens with it. And it's important that you are open-minded to go into this research looking at the fact that you might not need fiber for healthy digestion. High LDL in women is a good thing. Like, let's look at some of those things. You found your way here to a carnivore diet. You obviously already are questioning a lot of what's being told in conventional nutrition, that you don't need heart-healthy grains in order to live a long, happy, healthy life. And so continue to be open-minded, even in the carnivore community. right? When you're looking at things like liver and supplements and grass finished, like all of these things, come in and be open-minded about it, and really just try to do some research on your own and discern like what else could be true than what you already think is true.
Your answer was way better than mine.
And the last thing that we want to say on our list of 10 things that we wish we knew before we started a carnivore diet is that consistency matters above all else. You can get away with having the wrong fat to protein ratio, with not eating the proper balance of omegas and all the different things, like the incorrect fasting window. Like, you can get away with not doing everything perfectly if you are consistent. Consistency matters more than anything. And that kind of circles back to making it sustainable for you. If you cannot be consistent, then what you are doing is not sustainable for you. And it doesn't matter how perfectly you're doing this diet if you can't stick to it for more than 10 days. So maybe take a step back and say, how can I be consistent with this first and foremost? I always talk about how I'm an all or nothing person, and I have one bite of something and then I go completely off the rails and eat everything that I can find until my next day one of a diet. How can I stop doing that? How can I start every day as one new day? This like one day at a time mentality has been my biggest focus for the last year, and it has truly been how we've been able to be more consistent and not let one little day and one moment completely throw us off the rails. And it's taken me 37 years to figure that out, but also even doing carnivore for 4.5 years, it's really taken me up until the last year to be able to figure out how to be consistent. If you have any other tips or things you think people should know before they start a carnivore diet, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and you can use that as a resource for you. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for supporting our family, and we'll see you guys around.